Hello, this is SpookyShadows. I am back after a pretty long hiatus, as I don't want to return to making long form videos, so I will try and find some ideas. Hopefully, I am much more active on my Instagram page, which is the same handle as here. I do movie lists and I do little reviews frequently there, but I thought maybe a good thing that I could do would be to just talk about my favorite movies, sort of like a little tour, or at least a subsection of my favorite movies, where it's like my ultimate favorites, like the ones that I rewatched a lot of, the ones that have a special place in my heart for whatever reason, my special movie loving heart. So starting off, we have what is probably my favorite movie of all time. I'd say 2001's cult classic, Donnie Darko. I watched this around that back, I'd say, in like 2021, when I was like a teenager, which is the, I think, perfect age to watch this movie. It's sort of like my baby's first mind-bending, weird kind of movie. But even after having seen a lot more, and a lot maybe kind of weirder movies, I still absolutely love this one. The performances are great, like Jake Gyllenhaal as Donnie Darko, great performance, like, really makes you feel for the character in certain scenes and how it portrays, like, teenage angst and vulnerability and not quite fitting in the world, and, like, being the person who, like, is willing to call out the nonsense that goes on in society, but is, like, sometimes set down for that. I think that's, like, it's got a whole lot going on to it. Like, there's the big, like, sort of, like, mystery of, like, piecing into the puzzle of the film, which to me isn't what the main draw of it, or, like, on rewatches is, like, the emotional core of the movie. Like, it's not really a puzzle that to be solved. To some it is, but to me, I just, like, let yourself enjoy the experience and take away whatever interpretation you want from any movie. Also, I can't talk about Donnie Darko without talking about the soundtrack. It's just beautiful. Like, the scene when he is going into the school while the Tears for Fears Head Over Heels plays, it's like this, like, long take going through all the school. It's like, tells you so much about the major players in the story, just like through their body language and accents, no dialogue. Great song. It's just a beautiful scene. I saw it on the big screen not too long ago, and I think like I transcendental. It's a very good experience seeing that scene there. But yeah, I think the ending just like makes me feel this like sense of melancholy at times. Like very like I think melancholic film. It's like not like bleak, but it's a bit dark, a bit spooky. It's a great Halloween movie. Not entirely horror, but we're leaning into like some spooky vibes here. I love spooky vibes in my movies. The rabbit, his voice is like very creepy sounding, but also kind of like relaxing sounding with his design. So cool. A creepy little bunny suit. It's like the Easter bunny for like people who like scary horror things. Like yeah, it's got some funny moments in it. It's got some creepy moments in it, some sad moments. I think it's a movie that has something for everyone. It can't be like categorized as one genre or the other. It's like a bit of drama, a bit of sci-fi, a bit of a coming of age, a little bit of a romance, a little bit of a horror, a little bit of like a thriller in there. It's got everything. Amazing movie. Seen it, I'd say at least 10 times. I will see it more times, definitely. Got like, I think at least 5 copies of it, actually. And I have the poster of it back here, you can't really see it. It's up there, it's same one as this one. I love the Arrow video 4K of this. Got so much cool stuff on it. So the next two are movies from last year that happened to instantly go up into my all-time favorites list. And that would be 2024's I Saw the TV Glow and 2024's The Substance. I Saw the TV Glow is a movie that I think has a very strong personal impact on me, and I was like, sort of the kind of movie that like has elements that I love, like the 90s teen nostalgia, this taste of like TV stuff like Buffy the Vampire Slayer or Goosebumps, and then like these strong queer allegory present in the movie, the surreal parts of it. I think the director said that they were influenced by Donnie Darko for this film, which I can definitely see with like the teenage alienation aspect of it and the more mind-bending parts of the movie. But yeah, this movie I think is one of the like most gut-wrenching ones. It's like very harsh to watch, and like I am a queer person. I'm not like trans, so I don't like. Some people can connect to that, aspect of the movie, which I think is a strong part of analyzing it. About like obviously it's about a lot more than that. I think that is especially because the director is trans, informs a lot of like analyzing the movie. But I think the general feeling of like the fear of not being yourself or like not living an authentic life because like you're so afraid of that, like you just like suppress who you really are for like years, and having it slowly like kill you, like you're slowly dying because you haven't been really living this entire time. Like the ending of this movie where he's at the birthday party and breaks down is just incredibly harrowing scene to watch. The acting from Dr. Smith is incredible. I haven't rewatched it since seeing it because I am afraid that it will destroy me, but I think it is a necessary film for a lot of people to watch, like not especially queer people, again as I said, but like everybody, because it tells you that it's never too late to start living as who you are, like no matter how old you are or how much of life, like until you are dead in the ground, there is still time to start being who you really are. And I think it's on a technical standpoint, the soundtrack is beautiful, like the neon colors and stuff, like the retro vibe, the scenes, but like I love the scene where he's walking through the hallway with the doodles appearing on screen from The Notebook. It's like a lot of really vibrant colors. It's a film that I know a lot of people might not have liked, and I think that because like it won't click with everybody, but it clicked with me. I think the two lead actors do a great job in this. Like the characters don't really interact much, but when they do, it's great. And the entire monologue scene in the planetarium is just one of the best, I think, from last year. And just great movie. I think a lot of people should watch it if they haven't. And then The Substance. This is my number one pick from last year. It is a absolutely bonkers and wild movie. Coralie Farze is a genius. It's simultaneously one of the most like harsh movies about like self-hatred and misogyny and ridiculous beauty standards, but also such a fun time genuinely, because like they really like lean into like she really leans into the camp and how wild and absurd things get and like the satire of things, but it never really feels like it takes away or detracts, to me personally, from the message. And I think it's got a lot going on. You can analyze this through so many different lenses, like the initial like feminist perspective into what people I think usually start right at the beginning with like addiction metaphors, or like how women are taught by like a patriarchal society to pit themselves against each other instead of focusing on like what the actual problem is, or like how self-hatred can essentially destroy you. And I think that's one of the major themes of this movie, is that sort of destructive nature or like self-destruction major theme, saw this movie, not in theaters, unfortunately. I saw that in theaters later, which I did with like a big crowd. I would have loved that, but I was, I did a movie trial to watch it. My mind was blown so hard that I had to go watch it again the day after, because like everything in it feels like necessary to me. I think like it doesn't feel super long. I mean, 2 hours and 20 minutes is a bit long for a horror film. A genre that usually tends to run around 90 to 100 minutes, usually. But it still like keeps your attention grabbed, and like the vibrant popping colors and the pulsating synth score like gets you hyped up. It's like very visually stunning and beautiful, also very nasty and gross. There's like some great body horror moments in it. The initial scene where she takes the substance and Margaret Wiley comes out of Demi Moore's back. The practical effects are amazing. I love that they used practical effects in this. There's great film homages, and I'm a huge film nerd, so I love to see that. And it doesn't feel like they're like copying or plagiarizing from films, or rather like using it in a way that feels tasteful and not like that. Just it doesn't support the entirety of the film, it just adds to it. I think Demi Moore's performance is amazing. I think she really, like, her character makes some bad decisions. You're telling her, like, don't do this, stop. But you can see where she's coming from, and you understand how she got to that point in her life. And the entire scene with her getting ready for the date at the mirror is just some of, like, the best acting I've seen from last year. It's such a hard to watch scene, not in terms of like, oh god, it's gory, I'm covering my eyes right now, but because of how, like, I think a lot of people have been there, where they just, like, feel like they can't measure up to what they see, and it just destroys them. This film is, like, it's funny, it's disturbing, it's heartbreaking at times, it feels angry, it's not subtle with its message, but I like that, and it's telling people things that I think that we as a society need to hear, or like at least start talking about more. And I think this film, the conversation it's sparked, is like very interesting. Alright, so next up on my list is one of the wildest films I have ever seen, and that would be 1977's House, a Japanese movie that I cannot do justice by describing. Because if I say it's about a young girl and her friends who go to her aunt's house, and the house is kind of haunted. It's like, yeah, it's haunted. Wacky stuff starts happening. That be doing it. You have to see it for yourself. Like, it is insanely creative, and like the editing and some of the scenes and stuff, like, it's very, like, surreal in parts. Most parts. Like, a good bit of the film. Like, there's, while, like, a piano eats a girl. A cat plays the piano. The cat's great in this movie. I love, personally, when there's a good cat. This has one of them, so I think I could sponsor that too. But like, I'd say it feels like if you like looked into like a child's like nightmares, like plucked them out of their brain and then put it directly onto film, you would probably get this movie, and for good reason. It is technically co-written by the director's daughter, he asked for advice on like what would be some good scary things to put in the movie. So like, kids sometimes have a very weird or like interesting things that scare them that might not be considered scary to adults. They're scary to kids because, like, but like, yeah, it's a very funny movie at times. I like a good bit of like slapstick humor mixed in. It's just a film that I absolutely like love the testament to, like, I think how wild and creative movies can get, and even like on like a level of like themes. I think it talks about like a bit of like the loss of innocence and youth, and a little bit on like how war has that effect on people. So the director being a survivor of the Hiroshima bombings, and I believe that might have been a stronger theme as other films I have not unfortunately seen yet, but House is a masterpiece. Check it out. And the next one is a super recent watch, but it has honestly affected me. So like by recent, I mean like I watched it this year, and most of these I've watched a bit longer ago than that. But it is the 1969 film Midnight Cowboy. I've seen it about 3 times already, which I guess is a lot, considering that I watched it only a couple months ago. This film is absolutely, I think, just stuck with me in all of the right ways. It is a incredibly dark movie at times, like the themes it delves into with like trauma and abuse and loneliness and like how harsh and cruel society can be. It's a tough watch, but I think there's a genuine like heart and empathy to it, like the dynamic between Dustin Hoffman and Jon Voight's characters. You get to a certain point in the movie, like near the end, where you're just like, I really care about this people. Like, it just feels like a very, like, you know, these people, like, they're so well-rounded and such compelling characters that you just can't help but, like, root for them, even when they do things that aren't entirely great sometimes, that are forced to, like, make these decisions due to their circumstances. But yeah, I think the movie is just messed up in some ways, but also oddly sweet in a lot of other ways. The more experimental scenes, I think, like the way they blur together like fantasies and reality, and like the dreams, like what has happened in the past, what could have been, and then what might be in the future, and how that like motivates the characters, especially Jon Voight's characters, and like how his trauma informs who he is currently, is done such, I think, like it really captures what that's like the nature of like dreams and memories and how they can like blur together, and sometimes like come in little bits and pieces because people tend to block those things out. And then there's the entire party scene, which say maybe controversially I love how that scene looks. It's just very beautifully shot, wildly trippy, very 60s. But yeah, it's a emotional roller coaster. You know, like you're taken on a journey, like a journey. There's like a whole lot of emotions I went through while watching this movie. A lot of it was really like sad at the ending. I think second time around just like absolutely saddened me. I think knowing where the story's going, you kind of even know where it's going on the first watch, but it's still devastating to watch, especially like in the last 20 to 10 minutes, as you know that like things are not going to turn out how these characters think they are. And that's like a major, I think, theme of the movie, is things not turning out the way people think they will because of like the sort of cards the world has dealt them. There's, I think, one of the scenes, or one of the brief moments is that I think about a lot, is the scene right before they go into that like trippy party thing near like the end, or like a bit near there, when John Wood he's using a shirt and to help wipe off Dustin Hoffman's forehead because he's fighting profusely, and this the simple accent of Hoffman, like he like leans his head into his chest and then just for a second wraps his arms around him, and it's just like so tender, but like also deeply like sad. It just makes me feel that sort of indescribable emotion, which is like I guess a good encapsulation of how this film as a whole makes me feel. I think it's one that you get drawn into because of these characters and you feel so much for them, and it's just beautiful movie. On a relatively more lighthearted note, we have the 2006 comedy Little Miss Sunshine. This is a dark comedy that doesn't like feel edgy like most people tend to think. It's actually incredibly wholesome. Like, yes, the topics that the movie deals with and plays for comedy sometimes are pretty dark. It's just a very funny and heartwarming movie. Like, there's great emotional beats. There's a certain scene with Paul Dano as they're putting the film, like that one scene with him, that just makes me choke up every time. It's like these characters are like so well written and so well rounded, and you just root for them, and they're like flawed sometimes. You can tell that they like really love each other as a family, and like that's encapsulated so well, I think, in the dance scene at the end. It's just like a very cathartic moment because things didn't entirely work out sometimes, but like, you know, the important thing is that like people have each other, and they've been able to like grow as a family and as people closer together. It's just a great film, like I think rewatch whenever you're not in a great mood, at least for me. But yeah, it's just like kind of my favorite comedy movie. One of my favorite movies in general. The script is incredibly like tight. The movie, the screenplay, it's great. I just like, you haven't seen it, watch it. It's just fun movie, very fun. And of course, we have the 1981 horror classic, American Werewolf in London. This is one of my favorite horror comedies. It's genuinely like scary at times. Like the transformation scene still holds up incredibly well in 2025, you know, being as old as it is. It's like creepy. Like there's some scenes in it that are genuinely scary and stuff, like the effects work on certain like characters and moments is so good. It's like kind of nasty at times, and that's why I really like it. And it's also really fun. I think it balances those two tones well. It's like a subtle sort of dark sense of humor, like the shift from the tone of the ending to the jovial end credit scene just is absolute mood whiplash every time. Classic movie, very rewatchable for me. Love it. 1999's But I'm a Cheerleader, one of my favorite queer movies. This movie deals with like the incredibly serious topic of like conversion therapy, conversion camps in a very funny way while still taking it, very seriously. And it's like saying like how ridiculous that sort of stuff can be and like how it doesn't really make a lot of sense. The romance in the movie is very cute, very sweet, and I love the color palette, like the pink and blues, like how it sort of makes fun a lot or exaggerates like the aggressive like gender rolling of things, like pink for girls, blue for boys, and like sort of satirizes that. Yeah, it's a super good movie. Very, very cute film too. We have The Truman Show. This one of my favorites. Not much to say about this one hasn't already been said. But like the concept is really good. It's like one of the best kind of ways this story's been like told. It's very funny at times, but like really hits the emotional beats when it needs to. Like Jim Carrey's performance is like great. He's super easy to root for in the movie, and like I think the way it comments on like the sort of nature of how people with like celebrities and reality TV, especially like nowadays, when that stuff is like more prevalent, like the sort of fan culture around people, and sometimes they're how you get focused on their own like personal lives so much, and like how the movie sort of commentates on that. Anything like sort of like a meta nature, because I think the reactions the audience has in the movie to like the show feel like they mirror like what the audience watching this movie might be like thinking or feeling, and then because like you really want him to like figure out what's going on and get out, and that's like I think it's like absolutely like beautiful ending. The shot of him walking up the stairs with like the clouds painted onto them is one of the best shots. I mean, one of the best endings in a movie I've seen. It's just absolutely great filmmaking. I love The Truman Show. Only really watched it twice, though. But I loved it both times, and I really want to watch it more times. Because, yeah, it's just... Even on a rewatch, I think you still get, like, sucked in, because you're like, oh my god, I know it's gonna end, but I know how it ends, but I'm still tense at points. And one of the first horror movies I ever watched was 1977's Suspiria by Dario Argento. This movie has admittedly fairly simple in substance, but has so much in style. The soundtrack by Goblin is like creepy and spooky, but also, you can sort of vibe to it. You can sort of get down to the club, to the Suspiria soundtrack, yeah. I'm gonna go to the club and I'm gonna dox the DJ to start. Hey, can you play the soundtrack to Suspiria? Like, yeah, the main theme for this. But it is a stunning, one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen. Like, the way it uses color is so unique, like the bright, vibrant reds and blues and greens, and how they sometimes like entire scenes in those colors. It like feel like surreal and off-putting because of that, in a way. But like I think the main character in this, Susie, is a very underrated final girl, because like she's resourceful. She figures out what's going on and she's able to put a stop to it all on her own and stuff. Well, mostly on her own. Doesn't really need a whole lot of help with actually confronting the villains at the end. It's like a very, I think, cathartic ending for how, you know, creepy and disturbing in the film is, because there's a sense of like genuine like victory in it. But yeah, I think the main reason I like this film, like many people, is it's just stunning to look at. It's like dreamlike and nightmarish all at the same time. But God, I could just watch this movie. I could just like no sound, just straight up look at it, let my eyeballs feast on the glory that is Suspiria. Next two are two of my favorite horror films and two of my favorite franchises, and that's Scream. This one, like The American Werewolf in London, is a great balance of horror and comedy. The meta aspect of this movie is done incredibly well, and stuff like how it plays tongue-in-cheek with certain horror tropes and sort of bends the rules of like what you might expect going into like the infamous opening scene with what they do in that to throw off the audience is very clever, and that scene is genuinely scary, probably scariest in the movie, but it becomes like a bit more comedic as it goes on. Ghostface is just an iconic slasher villain. I love the design of his mask. The twist and turns the story takes, it's a bit about whodunit because you kind of don't know who the killer is, so the way that that's sort of revealed near the end is one of the best, I think, twists in a horror film. The third act is just like so much fun, like the moment they go into the like the house party, the entire space with the rules of the horror movie. Never say I'll be right back. It's just one of the best third acts in horror, I think. Sidney Prescott is an iconic final girl protagonist, and it's a great movie. Like, it's one of those where it's like, it's a classic, and for darn good reason. And this last one on my list of ultimate favorites might be a bit weird because this movie has a bit of a bad rap, I think, maybe amongst more non-horror fans, but I think that it deserves to be sort of like reappraised, is Saw 2004, the original. I like the whole franchise, it's my guilty pleasure franchise, but the original thing stands head and shoulders above all the rest of it. I love when a low-budget movie, like when people make a movie low-budget, they had a clear vision, and you can see the movie had a vision, and they made a whole franchise out of it. So like that's really impressive from like a creative standpoint. It's not the gore fest people would say that it is. It's more like a horror thriller, and you're getting the two pieces of puzzles of like, who is this Jigsaw person and how are they supposed to escape the situation that they're in. So it's a bit like tense in that regard. I think it's like one of the more actually scary entries in the franchise because of like that. It's like suspenseful, actually. It's so like simple, you know, the locations don't really change much because of the low budget, obviously. You gotta be simple with it sometimes, but they make praise out of what they have. I think, you know, the mystery is great, but obviously the ending is what I think really pushes this movie out to me. Like the whole way the twist is executed, like the music that plays, the sense chills down my spine every single time I watch it. And I've seen this movie a whole lot of times. But yeah, it's my special little kind of guilty pleasure movie that I don't feel too guilty about. So I guess that would just make it a movie that I really like. And now I am realizing that I forgot to get a movie out of my itself. Oopsie daisy. That would be John Carpenter's The Thing. I should have mentioned this earlier. One of my favorite horror movies, if not my favorite in general. The body horror is exquisite. The creature design of The Thing and like the form it takes on is so creepy. The suspense of not knowing who the thing is, or like who's an impersonator and who is not, and like the secluded Arctic setting where like nobody can get a hold of these people. They're just completely isolated, and it's very claustrophobic and tense. The characters, I think, they like make smart decisions, which people say is like a common criticism of horror films. Is like characters don't make certain decisions. That is true. A lot of times, you have to pass the idiot ball on to characters to get the plot rolling and they killed. These characters like make smart decisions but are still screwed over. And like that's a good, I think, thing when horror movies do that, where like they make all the right choices but they still can't win against whatever's happening, whatever they're facing up against, because it's like so incomprehensible or so alien or just something that can't really be defeated. But yeah, it's a beautiful looking movie, like the lightings in the scenes and stuff. These scares are all like this has some like really effective jump scares that feel earned, unlike ones that like feel cheap. The actors are all great. It's a wonderful movie. Shout out to the dog. He did a solid acting job in that one, I must say myself. John Carpenter and Kurt Russell would agree. They talked about that on the commentary, which I love. That's really funny commentary, off topic here. But guys, the commentary, watch it. It's very informative, very funny. The commentary on the movie's actually pretty scary. So, I guess that means that is all for this video. We are getting quite long here, but this was a lot of fun to just get to, as the kids would call it, yap about my special interest for roughly 40 minutes. I might have to be back eventually with more videos, then getting some more like franchise rankings, but I've got to like binge another franchise to do that, so who knows. But again, Instagram, SpookyShadows, I have a lot more there, so bye.